Hello and welcome back. It's been a few weeks since I've been up at the property. Pain levels and life happening. Did finally have the battery replaced in my back, so that's been helping immensely. And we're back up here to make the second cuts on the log that I made that first cut with the rails to get a level cut. So we're here to make the second cut on it today. So sit back and enjoy the ride. All right, so we got a deer we got a deer fly buzzing us. So if you see me swatting, that's what's going on. I'm not having spasms. So first thing we got to do is we got to put a got it. So the first thing we have to do is put an edge on the saw. I don't know if you noticed in the first video, it wasn't cutting tremendously well. It took me a long time, longer than it should have, to make the cut. So we'll hit this with a file, put an edge on it, and then bring it up to the log and get back to milling out the wood. Okay, so a product that I came across long after I stopped doing tree work, which would have helped immensely, is this Stihl filing system. So it has rails on it that will ride on the teeth to give you the proper depth. It has a round file, actually has two, that are in the handle opposite of each other, so they cut in different directions. And then it has a flat file to file your raker, so it's one operation and you end up filing everything, so to get your proper depth and angle and all the other things that you need for making cuts. I'm not sure if you can see this, but it does have an arrow on it that faces that way, and then this side has an arrow on it that faces this way. So that's because the round files are facing different directions, so that when you file it, it makes the cut proper. So let me tip you down here and we'll get this thing filed out. All right, so this rail here rides on the tooth you're cutting, and then this rail over here rides on the previous tooth. And then it has little lines here that for a cross cut, it gives you the angle. The angle is also on the tooth usually. For doing ripping, you want a little bit flatter cut in general, but because I do use this for cross cutting as well, I will just file it in a normal configuration, and then it'll just cut a little slower. But and then with this tool, you can just flip it over and do the next tooth. You want to try and hit all the teeth the same number of strokes. That one there has needs a little bit more. Let me go back and do this one. About the same number. now I need to remember that I did about 20 strokes instead of the normal 10 that I shoot for. So this here is the raker, and then this is the tooth, and the flat file takes your raker down to the proper depth for the length of the tooth. Okay, we're up at the log now. So if you remember, it's up on the sawhorses here, and we cut this piece off using the rails to get a flat surface to work off of. And in the time that we've been gone, something decided to swing by and leave me a present. One of the neighbors. And so this will cut about 14 inches in depth. So that's the first time I'm going to try and do a full depth cut on this thing, just because I do want to make some beams with this. And so I will get this thing set up. So something that you do want is you want both of these rails to be at the same height. Otherwise you'll be cutting a taper across the log. So you'll be parallel on the top, but you'll be cutting a taper on the bottom cut, and then every successive cut will be a taper as well. So you'll actually be cutting around the log versus cutting flat through it, if that makes any sense. Okay, so what I've done, I know I mentioned it in the last video and I didn't use it, is I put a metal pole in the ground at the end of the log, and then I have a pulley with the rope hooked up to that boat winch that I mentioned to you. So we'll walk down here. So what this will do is, as I'm cutting, so I just keep one hand on the trigger here to keep the chain going, and then I can use the other hand and it will pull the saw through the log versus having to fight and push the saw through the log. Huh?
I did not think it was 60 feet. Like, you know how I do? Like, I kind of wake up and then I go back to sleep, just like lay back down, basically. That was at like 8. And then I kind of look up, it's 11:50, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. And then my phone didn't charge, so like I literally like saw your text message and I opened that up and my phone died. I'm like, cool. Off to a great start today.
Can you go grab the little saw out of the back of the truck, please? The log's too wide for my sawmill. I have to cut a...
Oh, yeah, ankle.
So, the last time I did this, when it was, I mean, it's like here.
Need to like shave off the side of it.
Yep.
Anything else while I'm over there?
What?
Anything else while I'm over there?
We can grab my water. It's in the front seat. Okay, well, ran into a snag right off the bat. My log is too wide here to fit between there. So I'm gonna have to trim off a little bit here. Hopefully I don't lose too much. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much anyway, because I would not get full width piece. So, well, we'll grab the little saw and we'll trim this off here, and then we'll get back to doing the sawmill. So let me get that done. Okay, so can only get 20 inches in between the rails, so I need to cut off that much back to about here, and then I should be able to fit the entire way down. So let me get that done. Alright, so trimmed off the edge of the log. See how it goes. And then I have some wood shims to stick in the cut as it goes to keep it from pinching the saw. So let me get you set up and get the saw. I'll get the saw set up and get going on trying to cut this again. You're gonna head home? Oh, so you are gonna leave it?
I said yeah.
I thought you said no. Probably not. Oh. Alright. Get dishes done or something?
Okay.
Huh?
Hold on. Very nice.
quite enough. Alright, so just widen this a little bit. Hopefully didn't put too much pressure on the front sprocket on the chainsaw bar. We'll see when I go, because the log was still too wide and wouldn't allow it to pass through. So let's see what happens. this is the adult of those grubs that you saw in the last video. So this is a pine borer, and they come out of those holes right there. Alright, so there is the second cut. I tell you, absolutely wipes me out. Okay, let's get that log off the sawhorses now.